And with that, welcome in, guys, gals, and NB parts to tonight's stream. And tonight we will be doing something completely different. We will be playing a game that is older than me, and that's actually a video game. Can you believe it? So, tonight I present to you the Oregon Trail. If you remember the list, the mighty list I've talked about a number of times at this point, you might know that this is the first video game on that list, and it's the oldest one, having been released on the 3rd of December 1971. Yes, that is 53 years ago. So, if you were kind of hoping for spectacular graphics and gripping 3D action adventuring, I'm going to have to disappoint you, I'm very sorry. But it's probably one of the oldest, at most fondly most remembered. Not necessarily most fondly, at least not by the reviews I've seen. But we shall get into that. Right about now, here we are. So at this point, the Oregon Trail has been adapted several times into a browser game. One of which even by the Department of Tourism of the state of Oregon itself. So I think it's pretty safe to say what we're doing here is entirely legal. So yeah, there we are. That's the Oregon Trail, the game in all its beauty and glory. So the main menu right there presents us with a couple of options. We may travel the trail, which we shall do for the most part of tonight's stream, learn about the trail, see the Oregon Top 10, turn sound off, which I will do because in playtesting this has been quite a nuisance. There we go. Once you reach the first cutscene, so to speak, in air quotes, then basically I don't want to put your headphone on your users through that. Choose management options. What's that about? See the current top 10. See the top 10. Okay, I don't think we have anything to do here. And which we shall not do. Learn about the trail. That's what we should do. The game itself says, try taking a journey by covered wagon across 2,000 miles of plains, rivers and mountains. Try. On the plains, will you slosh your oxen through mud and water-filled ruts, or will you plod through dust 6 inches deep? How will you cross the rivers? If you have money, you might take a ferry, if there is a ferry. Or you can ford the river and hope you and your wagon aren't swallowed alive. What about supplies? Well, if you're low on food, you can hunt. You might get a buffalo. You might. There are bears in the mountains. As long as it's not men. At the delis, you can try navigating the Columbia River, but if running the rapids with a makeshift raft makes you queasy, better take the Barlow Road. If for some reason you don't survive, your wagon burns or thieves steal your oxen, or you run out of provisions, or you die of cholera, don't give up. Try again and again until your name is up with the others on the Oregon Top 10. I wonder, does this game have a high completion rate? We shall find out. You may want to quit in the middle of the program. If so, press the escape key twice whenever the computer is waiting for a response. Software team responsible for creation of this product includes Ed Gratz, Charlene Kaplinger, Mark Paquette, Larry Fino, and Julie Redland. Credit where credit is due. So, are we all ready? I am. I've got my Coke on the one hand, chocolate on the other, and a keyboard right in front of me. So, by the way, this is all pretty much just controlled by being given this options menu and hitting the appropriate number on the keyboard. Nothing more than that as far as I can tell so far. Many kinds of people made the trip to Oregon. You may be a banker from Boston, be a carpenter from Ohio, be a farmer from Illinois, or find out the differences between these choices. So I'm thinking banker probably has a little bit more money than the others. A carpenter could be more handsome and handy when it comes to making repairs on the road. And a farmer probably has more food available to them. Excuse me. Game. Okay, game just stopped responding. Lovely. So let us travel a trail. One of the differences, traveling to Oregon isn't easy, but if you're a banker, you'll have more money for supplies and services than a carpenter or farmer, as I thought. However, the harder you have to try, the more points you deserve. Therefore, the farmer earns the greatest number of points and the banker earns the least. I'm thinking about being a carpenter because even though it doesn't say, common sense tells me that the carpenter is able to make repairs on his own, rather than have to rely for pit stops. So I'm going to be a carpenter. What is the first name of the wagon leader? What shall we name ourselves? Come on, give me random names, please. Let's go for American names. Okay. Right. First choice it suggests is Brian, so I'm going to take that. Second choice, on the other hand, Donald. I'm not going to go for that for, I think, pretty obvious reasons. George, James, John. Spell it correctly, please, and Joseph. And I'm making it kind of easy on myself here for just picking the what was at least labeled as the most popular names over the last 100 years. So yeah, this is all a bunch of basic people, I think. Are these names correct? Yes. It is 1848. Your jumping off place for Oregon is Independence, Missouri. That's Independent. Is that even? Yes, that is a real place. To Portland, Oregon. So not only is that a real place, but it's actually quite the journey. 1,800 miles. Passing Salt Lake City, possibly. So in the real world, this would roughly be our path. Just to know what we're getting into. And pretty early we will be able to say we're not in Kansas anymore, and there's other pop culture reference for you. Right. Into the game. Right, it's Independence, Missouri. You must decide which month to leave Independence. March, April, May, June, July. Alright, so apparently I cannot tap in or out of the game. That's really unfortunate. So close that tab. Do the whole thing again. Travel the trade. Be a carpenter. Does a simple Y suffice? It does. Which month? Ask for advice, please. You attend a public meeting held for folks with the California-Oregon fever. You're told, if you leave too early, there won't be any grass for your oxen to eat. If you leave too late, you may not get to Oregon before winter comes. If you leave at just the right time, there will be green grass and the weather will still be cool. So, probably what that means. March and July out of the question. I'm thinking April, to be honest. Let's risk it. Before leaving Independence, you should buy equipment and supplies. You have $800 in cash, but you don't have to spend it all now. Continue. You can buy whatever you need at Matt's General Store. Hello, I'm Matt. So you're going to Oregon. I can fix you up with what you need. A team of oxen to pull your wagon, clothing for both summer and winter, plenty of food for the trip, ammunition for your rifle, spare parts for your wagon. Lovely. Okay, so April 1st, 1848, not 1948. We need oxen. There are 2 oxen in a yoke. I recommend at least 3 yoke. I charge 40 a yoke. Right, give me 3. 120 gold. Food. I recommend you take at least 200 pounds of food for each person in your family. I see that you have 5 people in all. You'll need flour, sugar, bacon, and coffee. My price is 20 cents a pound. What pounds of food do you want? So, 200 pounds of food for each person. We have 5 people, so that would be 1,000. Costs 200. So we still have 480. Clothing. You'll need warm clothing in the mountains. I recommend taking at least 2 sets of clothes per person. Each set is $10. So that would again be 2 times 5, so 10 sets. Costs us $100. So 380 left. Ammunition. We're in America, so we need a lot of ammunition. Set ammunition in boxes of 20 bullets. Each box costs 2. Make it a nice round number. $100 for ammunition. And spare parts. It's a good idea to have a few spare parts for your wagon. Here are the prices. Wagon wheel for $10, wagon axle for $10, and a wagon tongue for $10 each. How many wheels? I'm assuming it's a regular cart, it should have 4 wheels. Your wagon may only carry 3 wagon wheels. Okay, 3. How many axles? 2. How many tongues? 2 as well. Lovely. I think that's sort of... Hang on. Since we can afford the spare parts... How many wagon wheels? And... So 3... Can we buy 3 axles and 3 tongues? Yes, lovely. Okay. So that leaves us with 190. I think we're good to go. Well then, you're ready to start. Good luck. You have a long and difficult journey ahead of you. I do believe that. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought sound was off. So we're in Independence, April 1st, 1848. Weather is cool, health is good, pace is steady, rations are filling. I may continue on the trail. Check supplies, look at the map. Yes, please. So this is a pixelated version of what we just saw. Trying to get to Oregon City. Which is probably a synonym for Portland, let's be honest. Fort Kearny, Chimney Rock, Laramie, Independence Rock, Springs, no, South Pass, Soda Springs, Fort Hall, Fort Boise, Blue Mountains, the Delhies, and Oregon City. Let's talk to people. Option 8. A town resident tells you some folks seem to think that 2 oxen are enough to get them to Oregon. 2 oxen can barely move a fully loaded wagon, and if one of them gets sick or dies, you won't be going anywhere. I wouldn't go overland with less than 6. Good thing we have 6. Right, I think that means we can be on our way. From Independence, it is 102 miles to the Kansas River crossing. If anybody wants that converted to kilometers, please let me know. Otherwise you could just do it yourself by multiplying that number by 1.6. You should get a rough number. Spacebar to continue. Well, that's a good start. George has a broken arm. Nice. You find an abandoned wagon with the following 2 sets of clothing. I'll take that gladly. Let's see. Did we just get the worst possible start? We might have. You are now at the Kansas River crossing. Would you like to look around? Yes, I would. Okay, I think that's enough. So, I'm going to assume we need more oxen. Attempt to trade. You meet another emigrant who wants 1 wagon tongue. She will trade you 45 pounds of food. No thanks. Look at the map. I've not exactly made it far. Talk to people, what can you tell me? Aunt Rebecca Sims. Oh, that's a good idea. Another game of The Sims. With the crowds of people waiting to get on the ferry, we could be stranded here for days. Hope there's enough graze for all those animals. Not many people carry feed. I'd rather wait, though, than cross in a rickety wagon boat. Yeah, we might have to... Kansas River crossing. We will have to cross that river, don't we? Continue on trail. You must cross the river in order to continue. The river at this point is currently 624 feet across, so that's some 200 meters and 4.2 feet deep in the middle. That is like 1.30 meters or thereabouts. Maybe 1.40 meters. I think we can afford that risk. You may attempt to ford the river, caulk the wagon and float it across, take a ferry across, wait to see if conditions improve, get more information. Attempt to ford the river. 4 feet is not that deep. Or is it? Okay. We lose 3, we're gonna have 600 pounds of food and our remaining 2 oxen. So maybe we can salvage this by resting and waiting for somebody to show up. With an oxen. Or a yoke for oxen. Attempt to trade. I don't want bullets, I want oxen. Yeah, okay. I believe at this point it's safe to say this run is not only short-lived, but also dead. Yeah, we need to do this again. Travel the trail. Be a carpenter. Give me those names again. Brian. George. James. John. Joseph. Yes, they are correct. Maybe that even gives us an opportunity to change our mind about the start date, so let's try May. So, 3 yoke of oxen exactly. Food, 1,000. Clothing. Ammunition. Spare parts, 333. Lovely. We know that already. So let's go. From Independence to Kansas City River, to the Kansas River crossing, it is 102 miles. And hopefully, we don't have a broken arm on day 1. That's a good start. One of the oxen is injured, though. Hopefully we can make up for that by the other 5. You are now at the Kansas River crossing. Would you like to look around? Yes, I would. Thank you for that. So, attempt to... No, hang on. Talk to people. That's what I want to do. A ferry operator tells you don't try to ford any river deeper than the wagon bed, about 2.5 feet. You'll swamp your wagon and lose your supplies. You can't cork the wagon bed and float. You can cork the wagon bed and float it, or be smart and hire me to take your wagon on my ferry. Something tells... I know it's never said in the tutorial so far, but I'm thinking the carpenter would be able to better prepare the wagon for being corked to cross the river. This time let's try number 2. Cork the wagon. It's not like we lost anything important. 369 bullets, 2. I mean, the axles and tongues hurt. 4 repairs. But we're alive. And we did lose a bunch of time. I find wild fruit. Good. Food goes back up. You are now at the Big Blue River crossing. Look at the map. I mean, we're still obviously in the very early parts of the trail. Talk to people, please. A party leader heading east tells you. We've had enough. Pesky flies all day and mosquitoes all night. It's either baking sun or oceans of mud, and sometimes both. Worry over Indians attacking. Haven't seen any yet, but still a worry. Can you tell this game's from the 70s? Attempt to trade. Who wants to trade with us? Actually, that's a worthy trade. We've got loads of bullets, which we might not even need. And we have not a single wagon tank, so we will take the 1. And continue on the trail. You must cross the river in order to continue. The river at this point is currently 229 feet across and 2.3 feet deep in the middle. 2.3 feet, that's like 60 centimeters? So, basically nothing. It was a muddy crossing, but you did not get stuck. Lovely. From the Big Blue River crossing, it is 118 miles to Fort Kearney. Let's go. Wrong trail, lose 2 days. Okay. I can do it with 2 days. Continue. Seems like we're making 20 miles a day. That's a good pace. It's 5 days. Okay. And now at Fort Kearney. Would you like to look around? Yes, please. So, we are At Fort Kearney, good. Next up would then be Chimney Rock. Still very early. Buy supplies. Food. We need more food. Let's stock up 100. And a wheel. Okay, I have all the wheels I need. One axle. One tongue. And that should be it. What's our supplies like? 6 oxen, 10 sets of clothing, almost 500 bullets. Repair parts also look good. 730 pounds of food. Okay, so I think we're pretty much good to go. Talk to people. A Fort Kearney scout tells you the game is still plentiful along here, but getting harder to find. With so many overlanders, I don't expect it to last more than a few years. Folks shoot the game for sport, take a small piece, and let the rest rot in the sun. Actually, that's a good idea. We can, if food ever runs low, we can still hunt for it. But I think with that out of the way, we can continue. It is 250 miles to Chimney Rock. Weather is hot, so I don't expect any deep rivers to cross our path. George has a broken arm. Okay, but at least he lasted a month this time, and not just a day. You pass the gravesite. Would you like to look closer? I see nothing good coming from this, to be honest. No, that might just be a setup for an ambush as well. So, no. You find an abandoned wagon with the following: 21 bullets, 1 wagon axle. Lovely. Where does that take us? 3 wheels, 3 axles, 508 bullets. Nice. We can hunt for food now. Enter key to start or stop walking. Spacebar to fire the rifle. Arrow keys to point the rifle. Number pad to point the rifle for experts, and escape to stop hunting. Okay. Well, at least we made that one shot. From the animals you shot, you got 67 pounds of meat. Okay. Could have been better, but I'm liking the odds. And we've made it to Chimney Rock. Yes, I would love to take a look around. That was Old Lang Syne. Interesting. Wonder what that piece of music is doing here. Talk to people. Chimney Rock by moonlight is awfully sublime, says Cylinder Hines. Many Indians came to our wagon with fish to exchange for clothing. We bought a number. They understand swap and no swap. Seem most anxious to get shirts and socks. Probably to guard themselves from... but to protect themselves from the sun. Let's attempt to trade. You meet another immigrant who wants 1 wagon tongue. You will trade you 1 set of clothing. That's not really something we need to do. Or should, for that matter. I think we should continue. From Chimney Rock is 86 miles to Fort Laramie. That should be a fairly short episode. Find an abandoned wagon, but it is empty. Notice also how the ground color changed from green to this beige sort of thing. Might be harder to find some game here. I have to say I'm not a fan of the sounds, but it's like this typical 8-bit 8-bit sound design, so it's a product of its time, but it's not necessarily aged well. Let's go for £50 for food. 1 wagon tongue. And the rest, I believe, we're good to go with, right? We've got £550 of food. Repair parts are all maxed out. Good on clothing. Good on oxen. Yeah. Oh, I think we can continue. A Sioux hunter tells you the Pawnee are the mortal enemies of the Sioux. I would not hesitate to kill any Pawnee I meet, but I have never killed a white man. All I ask from the white man is to leave me alone and to leave my buffalo alone. That should not be an issue. Right now my only goal is to go west, basically. I don't think buffalo is going to stop me from that. Where are we anyway? Okay, we're making quite some progress, so is that a quarter of the way in, maybe? Maybe a little over a quarter. But so far we're making really good progress. From Fort Laramie it is 190 miles to Independence Rock. Inadequate grass. Now it's gone back to green because it's raining. Heavily. Severe thunderstorm, lose a day. We can deal with that, I believe. Okay, that was a rather uneventful journey, to be honest. Independence Rock. Let's talk to people first. As per usual. Aunt Rebecca Sims again. We've met her before, haven't we? But I think it was on the first run. No butter or cheese or fresh fruit since Fort Laramie. Bless me, but I'd rather have my larder full of food back east than have our names carved on that rock. Well, 'tis a sight more cheery than all the graves we pass, she says. She doesn't seem to be too happy to be here. No one's traveling today. I don't exactly mind. We're down to £300 of food, though. We might have to hunt sometime soon. From Independence Rock, it is 102 miles to South Pass. One of the oxen has died randomly, apparently. Let's look around South Pass. A young girl tells you, "My father is very sick and we are resting here until he gets better. We have been pushing too hard and our health has suffered. When my father is able to travel again, we will go at a slower pace." That is an option for us too. However, not one that has really been necessary so far, so I'm glad we could avoid it. But yeah, we can change pace, that's option 4, and change food rations, that's option 5. So right now we're on filling. Can go back to meager or bare bones. Let's stay with filling. Change pace, steady pace, strenuous, grueling. What do those mean? Steady, you travel about 8 hours a day, taking frequent rests. You take care not to get too tired. Strenuous, you travel about 12 hours a day, starting just after sunrise and stopping shortly before sunset. You stop to rest only when necessary. You finish each day feeling very tired. Well, we don't want that. And grueling, you travel about 16 hours a day, starting before sunrise and continuing until dark. You almost never stop to rest. You do not get enough sleep at night. You finish each day feeling absolutely exhausted and your health suffers. If we can at all avoid it, I will. So let's keep it steady, shall we? Supplies. Yeah, when the opportunity presents itself, we might want to get another oxen, but apart from that, I think we're good to go. The trail divides here. You may head for Green River Crossing or head for Fort Bridger or see the map. I want to see the map. Well, I don't want to go to Fort Bridger. That's too far off a path, isn't it? Looks like a detour at least. So head for Green River Crossing. 57 miles. Looks lovely. Who's here to talk to? A Shoshone Indian tells you, "When wagons first started coming through here, we did not mind. We even found it good to trade game and fish with the travelers and help them cross the rivers. Now there are too many white men and too little land for grazing." Is that an early message towards being mindful about the resources Earth can provide? Because it definitely sounds like it. Attempt to trade. No one wants to trade with me today. What a pity. Continue on trail, I believe. You must cross the river in order to continue. The river at this point is currently 406 feet across. So like 130 meters. And 20, let's say 21 feet deep in the middle. So that's 7 meters. There's no way we can ford that. However, get more information. To ford a river means to pull your wagon across the shallow part of the river with the oxen still attached. Yeah, with 21 feet of depth, that's not an option. To caulk the wagon means to seal it so that no water can get in. The wagon can then be floated across like a boat. To use a ferry means to put your wagon on top of a flatboat that belongs to someone else. The owner of the ferry will take your wagon across the river. Can we afford the... Can we take a ferry across? It says that he will charge you $5 and that you will have to wait 5 days. Are you willing to do? Yes, for $5, definitely. The ferry got your party at wagon safely across. Lovely. But we have absolutely zero food, so we need to do something about that. least something. $55. We might have to do that a couple of times. You find an abandoned wagon with the following 3 sets of clothing. We'll take those. Again, no food, so again we will have to hunt. Lovely. Got a bear. You got 116 pounds of meat, however you were only able to carry 100 pounds back to the wagon. All that will do for now. Continue on trail. Joseph has... oh god. At least he survives for now. Found about fruit, lovely. John has a... please don't tell me they start dying all of a sudden. And all at the same time. One of the oxen is injured. Okay, bad news. Keep piling in. Adequate grass, very little water. I'm starting to worry myself. We need to hunt again. Lovely. 2 bears. That should already be enough. More than we can carry anyway. Out of range. Three bears. Oh, that would be so nice if we could carry all that food in. Okay, 100 will do. Okay, bad news are really hitting me right now. Broken wagon wheel. Would you like to try to repair it? Yes, of course I would. You were able to repair the wagon wheel. Nice. That's where the carpenter comes in handy, I believe. Honest. And one of the oxen. So, with our money... could be a very tight situation there, because we can't really afford to buy oxen. The only thing we have in abundance is bullets. You need... oh, lovely. Get 1 ox for 124 bullets. Lovely, we'll take that. Wait, no, hang on. That was the wrong way. Yeah, we lost an oxen. I've got even more bullets. Okay. So that was a mistake. But we made it to Soda Springs, at least. What do they have to say? Miles Hendrick tells you, I've heard it said that there are many cutoffs to take to shorten the journey, that by taking all the shortcuts you can save many days on the trail. And why not? Saving time and provisions is worth the risk. Famous last words, I believe. Tend to trade. No one. Lovely. Check supplies. Pounds of food, 7. Oh god, that's not good. From Soda Springs it is 57 miles to Fort Hall, and immediately something came up. I didn't read it, but I want to hunt for food first. Funny how this guy's looking. It's a very, very pixely sort of look. Come on. just need one animal over here. Maybe a bear? Okay. Can I try again? Yes. Okay, lovely. That's pretty much all we can do right now. Because that bear alone is probably more food than we can carry. Oh yeah, pretty exactly. James is a snake. Oh, come on. Yeah, that food should last us to the camp. Or the fort, I mean. 16. Broken wagon tongue, would you like to try and... Yes, please. I was able... See, I think that's part of the carpenter trades. That we were able to make that repair, rather than just to have to switch the wheel. Fort all. Lovely. First of all, buy... Well, hang on. First attempt to trade. Once... 134 bullets, you will trade you. I mean, yeah, let's do it. And then we can do the food. I have 105 left to spend. 40 cents per pound, so that's 2.5 for... Wait. 10 pounds would set me back 4. So 12 would set me back 480. Yeah. How many? 1? Yeah, let's just dump the rest in food. So check supplies. 4 oxen, 14 sets of clothing, 470 bullets, all the repair parts we can carry, and 162 pounds of food. Not exactly a great supply, but we should be fine. We can just keep hunting each day and fill up our supplies that way. But first, let's check the map. Oh, we made some nice progress. Fort Hall already. So that's, what are we, like 2/3 of the way? Maybe 2/3. Well, at least over half, I think we can agree on that. Talk to people, and then we should be heading on. Miles Hendrick again. He tells me, well, friend, this is where we part. I'm bound for California with an opposing desert to cross. And you've got the Snake River to cross. That doesn't sound great. Which I hear is no picnic. So did I. Write us you or the missus just as soon as you reach Oregon. Will do. Miles Hendrick. Remember the name. Could be important. Actually, just for the feeling, I'm going to write that name down because it will be important, I feel. Hendrick. So, continue. From Fort Hall, it is 182 miles to the Snake River crossing, and George has died. Okay. So we're 2 people down, 3 left. Lovely. Lovely. Okay. If we do that every day, we should be just about ready to make this trip. The bear is dead. Okay, for the first time, a repair went wrong, but we have the spare parts. £300 left for oxen. I think we're good to continue. Bad water, inadequate grass, inadequate. Last thing that makes me hopeful for good events until we reach. Yeah, Joseph has measles, of course he does. And we're done here. So we don't even need to hunt every day to keep our supplies filled with food. But that also tells me stop to rest for, let's say, a week to see if Joseph can recover. You're now at the Snake River crossing. Would you like to look around? Yes, please. Check supplies. I have no money though, so if we need to ford the river, we might be screwed. Let's talk to people. An overlander tells you. Down there between those sea lava gorges, twisting... Lava gorges, excuse me. Are we on Atlantis again? Lava gorges twisting and writhing as the Snake River. So much water and so hard to get to. We've got many miles of desert before Oregon, so be sure to fill your water kegs at the crossing. I very much will. Stop to rest for another 2 days. Look at the map. I mean, yeah, Fort Boys would be the next stop. You must cross the river in order to continue. The river at this point is currently 1,000 feet across and 6.3 feet deep in the middle, so I have a pretty good inkling as to how deep that is because I'm 6'6". That's not something I would risk with a wagon, though. Indian to help. A Shoshone guide says that he will take your wagon across the river in exchange for 2 sets of clothing. Will you accept this offer? Of course I will. As long as it's not money, because we don't have any. No trouble floating the wagon across. Lovely. It's 113 miles to Fort Boys. James is a broken arm. Oh god, could our people please stop dying? Joseph has exhaustion. Okay, at this point, stop to rest. For 3 days. And hunt for food. And that's our job done. $222. Yeah, supplies are actually looking surprisingly good. Bad water again. And very little water. We made it to Fort Boys at least. Talk to people. A trader with 6 mules tells you. You'll not get your wagon over them Blue Mountains, mister. Leave it. Cross your goods over with pack animals. Get yourselves a couple of good mules. Pieces of wagons lit up the trail. Left by them folks who don't heed good advice. He sounds Scottish, doesn't he? Something tells me he only wants to sell us stuff. He wants 1 ox. He can have 1 ox. Also, I notice food keeps getting more expensive the further we get along the trail. It started at 25 cents per pound, now we're at 45. So, look at that. Yeah, we're at Fort Boys, we're almost there. Three-quarters of the way, I'd say. Yeah. Blue Mountains. But I suppose if Blue Mountains we will have a choice whether we want to go to Fort Walla Walla or the Dalles. The Dalles looks shorter, but Fort Walla Walla is a fort, so if need be, we could probably just rest there. So, supplies. Looking good. We can always hunt. And there we go. Killing a bear is always the quick and easy option to get rid of that problem. So, 214. We have all the bullets that we could possibly need. So I think we should continue. It's October now, late October even, so it's starting to get cooler. Joseph, oh god. We're already down to 3 people. I don't want to make that 2. But probably will. Stop to rest for 7 days. There we go. At least something. Broken wagon tongue. Please repair. I was unable. Unable to repair. So that puts me down to 1 wagon tongue. I mean, it's not too bad. I still have 1, but if that breaks as well... Can we fork lose a day? I mean, losing days is not that bad. Because the only issue that really poses is losing food, and we can always hunt for more. You are now at the Blue Mountains. Would you like to look around? Yes, of course. What do they have to say about them? The Blue Mountains. Jacob Hofstetter tells you, this valley of the Grand Ronde is the most beautiful sight I've seen in months. Water and graze in abundance. And if this valley is so fine, the Willamette must be twice as fine. We'll be sitting pretty in our new homestead. Well, at least he's happy to be here. Who wants one ox? He'll trade you. I don't need ox. Hang on, I don't need bullets. Actually, I would need an ox, kind of. Not urgently. So, will we now have the decision to go to Dally's or Fort Walla Walla? I believe we will. Yeah, we should stop to rest for, let's say, 3 days. Check supplies. Yeah, we need to hunt right away. Trail divided here. You may head for Fort Walla Walla or head for the days. Yeah, so we're gonna go for the fort. 55 miles, and we will hunt for food. Come on, something, please. Anything? Can we try again? Yes. Oh, nice. Okay, that should already be more than enough. It was quite a long-range shot there. So that should, yeah. Some of that we needed to eat right away, but that's okay. We can just do that again. Really? $72. Okay, I can live with that. Yeah, perfectly. Happy folk lose a day. It's starting to get into winter now, so I'm a bit worried about our clothing situation. But I think at this point the biggest danger is our people dying before we actually get there. For instance, with a broken leg. Oh, that would take quite a while. Let's give him 2 days. Attempt to trade. 1-3 wagon axles. He will trade you 1 ox. Not something I can do. I sort of need the 3 axles. Okay, and we're sorted. I feel like to give a quick review of this game while we're still playing it, I feel like this hunting mini game makes it a bit too easy. For one thing, because you basically just don't need to buy food ever. And I kind of even overcompensated for that by buying loads and loads of bullets. But if you look at our supplies right now, I'm hunting very regularly and still have 400 bullets left. So I'm thinking this hunting minigame makes it a bit too easy. We're almost to Fort Walla Walla. 15, 6 miles. Joseph has measles. Please don't die on me just now. For one thing, let's stop to rest for another 3 days. Good, nobody's died. Love that. Attempt to trade. Who wants bullets? He will trade you 1 ox. Nobody wants a lot of bullets. I'll still do it because that leaves me about 70. Should be fine. 73 even. As young mother tells you, I've travelled in fear of Indians since our journey began. As of yet, we've seen few. Those we met helped us cross rivers or sold us vegetables. Still I fear. I've read grave markers and heard stories of killings in these mountains. Are they doing a racism? It looks like they're doing a racism. You've heard stories of killings in these mountains. Somebody told you it would have been the Indians, aka Native Americans. No, that's not how that works, I'm afraid. Yeah, we only have that last piece to go. We're almost there. Check supplies. 120 pounds of food. Not tons, that would be lovely. 120 pounds of food. 5 oxen. 73 bullets. 12 sets of clothing. I think we're good to go. From Fort Walla Walla is 120 miles to the day. Oh. Why do we need to go there first? James has died. Okay, so we're down to 2 people. I'm not liking that. Jesus. Yeah, we could come back another day. Lovely. So that solves that problem. Yeah, that should be more than enough. Water. Can we repair? Yeah, of course not. Put this down to 2 spare wheels. That should still be sufficient, though. Oh, I almost made it to the river. A thief comes during the night and steals 5 sets of clothing. A major setback, but this close to the end, I don't think a relevant one, to be honest. Oh, much food? 41. We don't need to hunt tonight. Possible trail. Again, don't care about lost days. Joseph is exhausted, at which point we stop to rest for 2 days, later than a year. January 1st, we go back on the road. Joseph is okay. So it's just Brian now. Just the one. Okay, change pace to... Okay, we can't go slower than that. Attempt to trade. Who wants 1 wagon wheel? I will try to... Don't need that. Let's do the minigame again. Well, sometimes that happens too, but with just 1 person, 87 will last for a while. Blizzard. Oh god, no. Okay, stop to rest. So broken leg in this case doesn't seem to be too bad. Can still walk around by the looks of things. I mean, we only have 1 dude left, and he has a broken leg. So this shouldn't even be possible anymore. So please don't... Just don't die on me, please, Brian. And then we're all good. The delis. What can you tell me about those? Amy Witherspoon tells you. My cousin Lydia engaged passage down the Columbia with Indians. A canoe with 17 people and luggage. The wind blew so heavy they had to lay by. Near dark, high waves came up over their heads. Finally, they made it to shore safely. Good news. Add a map. There's only that last little piece left. I mean, we could have made it from Fort Walla Walla to Oregon City directly, I feel, but okay, we're here now. Attempt to trade. What have we got? Meet another immigrant who wants 1 wagon. Why is it always the stuff we don't have to trade? Check supplies. trail divides here. Float down the Columbia River, take the Barlow Toll Road. What is your choice? Toll Road sounds like they charge people. I have 20 cents in my pocket, so that's not gonna happen. Use the arrow keys to guide your raft through the rushing waters of the Columbia River. After passing the third direction sign, land your raft at the trail to the Willamette Valley. We'll try. Okay, we need to evade those rocks here. God, these controls feel very unresponsive. Okay, so far so good. See, there's the first sign down there. Definitely gonna crash into something sooner or later. God. Second sign. And there's the third sign. Right, so where do we need to go now? Oh, there we go. Is that it? Is that it? I think we've missed it. Yeah, the raft has missed the landing. You have lost 4 sets of clothing, 32 bullets, 1 wagon axle. What does that leave us with? Willamette Valley. Okay. Congratulations, you've made it to Oregon! Okay. That was the end, actually. Let's see how many points you've received. I would say first try, but sadly it's only the second try. But does the first really count if we've made it only like a week in? So, 1 person in fair health, at least that. 400 points. 1 wagon, 50 points, 5 oxen, 20 points, 5 spare wagon parts, 10 points, 3 sets of clothing, 23 bullets, no points, and 150 pounds of food, 6 points. Makes a total of 492. For going as a carpenter, your points are doubled. So, what is that? 984. Yeah, quick maths. I feel like... Okay, maybe as a banker we would have had an easier time with the money, because we could have just bought more supplies in the beginning, or throughout the day. We wouldn't have had to hunt as much. But even so, carpenter wasn't too hard, I feel. If it wasn't for people randomly dying, we would have had a pretty easy time. So, Oregon top 10. I mean, congratulations to me. Would like to see. So, seeing top 10 scores of like 7,650 points. I wonder how that would be possible. Like, if we'd arrived here with loads of food and loads of ammo, that probably would have given us more points. And even, especially with more people, because everybody who survived gave us 800 points. Sadly, we only had one adventurer, but still. Yeah, so. Is that really a top 10? Because that seems like quite the drop in points. From literally from 7,600 to 5,700, but also keeps going from place to place by like 1,000 points or more. No, I would not like to make changes. Now I do wonder, should we try that again, but as a banker? Tom, Marvin, Terry, James, Luke. Just 5 random names these times. No, not in May, but in June. Yeah, okay. Banker has double the money. Good to know. So let's do the usual. Spare parts. I feel like it should be easier, given that we can cover more distance by having more oxen. Check supplies, we still have loads of food, loads of bullets. It's 3 feet deep, yeah, we can do that. Really? 3 feet is too deep? Okay. Severe thunderstorm, alright. Marvin has a broken arm. Whatever from? Check supplies. Do people want to trade? No, they don't. And that's the good thing. We can... Oh, there's no ferry operating here, so let's caulk it. No trouble. Lovely. Another broken arm. What are they doing? Marvin? How are you still alive? Two broken arms and a broken leg. What is wrong with you, Marvin? Should we just leave you out here or what? Buy supplies. Leave stock. Do we need to buy anything else? Yeah, wagon axle. We need to buy a wagon axle. 5, just one. Lovely. And then we're good to go. So that first bit wasn't too hard. So far this has been an... Okay, this time let's risk it. Nothing? Okay. How has he lost? He has 2 broken arms and a broken leg. How could he get lost? What are you guys doing? Yes, let's do that. Okay, let's give Marvin a week to chill. And maybe by that time he's a little better. $100. If anybody wants to have bullets, then I'm gonna trade those. I just know that any minute now we're gonna get the notification that Marvin has died. Or one of the oxen. Bad water. Or somebody is gonna get dysentery or measles or something. This is going surprisingly well. What is wrong with these people? Okay, now they start dying. So as soon as we hit this, as soon as we hit Independence Rock, and I hit that like somewhat deserty area, we get so many bad news. Broken arms, diseases, oxen randomly dying. It was that way with the first attempt. Excuse me. It was that way with the successful second attempt, and now on the third one it's also the case. Okay, I find more bullets that I don't need. Over 1,000. I started with 1,000, and now I have more than 1,000, and I lost some in the process. I'm thinking I don't even need to buy bullets at the start. Fort Bridge has the detour, so Green River. Cascara, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Diseases, broken arms, whatever you have, the game's gonna throw it at you. Although ooh, hang on, health poor, health poor. I don't like health poor. Stop to rest for a week. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised about poor health because we have several broken limbs and a fever. No, cholera, not a fever. So yeah. Is it a... Oh, I have no food. Right. 20 feet. Jesus, no. Take a ferry across. Yes. Marvin has... Terry has cholera. Luke has exhaustion. Marvin has died. I was gonna say, at some point sooner rather than later, we're gonna get that notification. But again, by the end of the day, poor guy only had one working leg and no other limbs. So I can't say I'm surprised. Come on. Okay. Okay. At least that worked. We're about halfway in, and we've already lost 2 people. I don't like where this is going. We've already lost 3 people. That's not all that much. 3 pounds. It'll do for a day or so. We need to hunt. Okay, those 2 were already enough. Yeah, see, as a banker, you can't repair that stuff. But as a carpenter, you can. And again, we see this minigame kind of breaking the balance a bit. Yeah, because food is never going to be an issue. Terry has dysentery. Because of course. And Terry has died. One of the oxen has died. No. I wonder if my choice of class, so to speak, had anything to do with how easily people die, because not only have we now in this run been hit with more diseases and broken limbs than in the run before, but also in the previous one with the carpenters, they've lasted longer once they had these diseases and injuries. Well, I suppose I'm going to rest for a week. Health is fair. Good. Tom has a fever. Okay. Stop to rest for another week. We're definitely going to run into the winter now. Health is back to fair. Fire in the wagon results in the loss of 9 sets of clothing, 2 wagon wheels, 2 wagon axles, 1 wagon tongue. Is a lot of money down the drain at the next fort. But then again, kind of want to buy another axle though. 5, 1. And then we should be good to go. I mean, we only have 1 person left, so do we need more than that? If anybody has, if anybody wants to trade bullets, I'm all for it. Water. Thomas, oh god. Yeah, he's gonna die. Or is he? Okay, maybe we can get his health back to fair. So at least we can make it to Fort Boise, I think. Health is fair. We keep losing time in the blizzard though, that's kind of concerning. And here's cholera. So we can give him some rest and hope he doesn't die in that time. I mean, let's be honest. He might. And I don't think it's going to go away in a week. Supplies. I have only $162 left. I mean, okay, with the carpenters it was 20 cents at this point, so we're still way better off in that department. But then again, we only have 1 person left. So that's not good. Of course, nobody wants to trade with me today. 7 feet deep. We can hire an Indian. Those 3 sets of clothing. Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. trouble. Lovely. Especially keeping an eye on the health right now, because we just can't afford to lose that last person too. It's getting very cold. I was able to repair it. Okay, that's a first. Continue. I don't actually think I need to buy food at this point, because that one person only eats so little. Those £900 will probably last me all the time. I have 12 oxen? Okay, loads. I'm meeting up that immigrant who wants one wagon axle. Not really something I should be doing right now. So, something that just occurred to me, since the previous run we went from the Blue Mountains to Fort Walla Walla, and then to the Dalles. We did get the option at Blue Mountains to head for the Dalles right away, so maybe this time I will do it. Just to cut down the time that we actually need for the trail. And since we only have one person left, speaking of which, let's give him a couple of days to get to good health again. So we only have one person left. I don't want to risk it by running a detour. Fair health. Tom has a broken leg. Yeah, going through the winter is not a thing that I would like to do. What was that late start and all the breaks we needed to take? Not really something I could avoid, to be honest. Yeah, slow progress due to the snow. I wonder, is that the same leg as before? So one learning I'm taking from the playthrough so far is you don't need 1,000 bullets. $500 should already be more than enough. Let's give it another 3 days of rest and attempt to trade. Once one oxy will trade is served. Oh yeah, okay, let's take it. We have plenty of oxen and plenty of food, but food is persistently going down, so I'm not really wanting to risk that running out. Especially since our guy is running out of limbs. Working ones, that is. Losing 6 days again. Oh, it's clothing. I might be... Okay, so, yeah, I still have 3, but again, only for 1 person, so I'm not too concerned. Who wants 195 bullets? Yes, please, give me an axle. I'm starting to see a pattern. The banker cannot repair stuff if his life depends on it, which at this point it literally is. They have 1 wheel left. But then again, we're almost there. And only 50 miles. Yeah, but still, even though he stole 70 bullets or so, we're still at 700 in the... still have 700 bullets in our inventory, so we are never gonna run out of those. Yeah, no, there's no point anymore. We've pretty much made it. Although this time I would like to, first of all, take a rest of, let's say, 2 days. Just to make sure Tom is in good health. And this time take the other option, take the Barlow Toll Road. You must pay 10.50 to travel the Barlow Road. Are you willing to do this? Yes, I am. Since we have that money, it's 100 miles to the Willamette Valley. The weather's getting warm again. And we made it. April 27th. That took a long time because we went through the winter, which led to several snowstorms slowing our progress, but we made it through with more food, more bullets, more oxen, more spare wagon parts, more clothes, so we actually got more raw points, but since they are not doubled, that's a worse result. No, I would not like to make any changes. So yeah, DP was the successful run as a carpenter. So that was 492 points, which were then doubled because we played as a carpenter. I'm assuming Stephen Meek was playing as a farmer because they get even more bonus points. And got all 5 people through, and got loads of oxen through, and everything. So yeah, there we go. 2 successful runs out of 3, and the first one... Yeah, I mean, the first one died within a week because we started with a broken arm and lost all our stuff in a very unsuccessful river crossing. But then run 2 and 3 went all the way to the end, even though it was just 1 person. But we made them. So I'm rather proud of that. Now, what do I make of this game? I have to say, for one night, or for one evening, I mean, we've been going for about 2 hours now. It's quite nice, although I have to say I probably wouldn't recommend this for like a long-term commitment, so to speak. Like there is a certain replay value to this, in that you have several options at the beginning, especially the 3 classes you can choose, that being banker, carpenter, and farmer, which give you a very different experience based on the starting budget. Then you have the option to buy stuff in various quantities at the store at the very beginning with that budget. So you can make your life easier or harder depending on those choices. And it's all going to make for a very different experience. So the replay value is actually pretty high. But since, I mean, yeah, we've done 2 and a bit runs in 2 hours, so it's not exactly a long game. The thing is, there are remakes and reimaginings of this game, so maybe there is a bit more substance to those remasters. I don't know. But yeah, I'm still glad to have played this for the sake of having played it, for the sake of it being one of the cornerstones of gaming history. If just for that reason. I mean, I can't really say it's aged well, to be perfectly honest. Suppose today a single indie developer could probably throw something like this together over a weekend. But then again, we have to consider this was 50 years ago, over 50 years ago. So, for that time, it's still admirable. So yeah, as a matter of fact, let's head over to... Yes. For one thing, just chatting. And for another, the list. There we go. So, the Oregon Trail is played on stream. Let's get into the review. Release date. Can you call this strategy? Wrote that. You might even call it RPG because it does have roleplay elements. Hard to say, honestly. But there is definitely a strategy element to it as well. So, did I have fun? I have to say, yeah, I did. Not. So, if you haven't been here before and you don't know the rating system, let me run through that quickly. Any game that I'm going to be playing from this list will be based and rated based on 10 rating categories. One overall factor, which is, did I have fun with it? Did I enjoy playing it? So even if a game is objectively kind of shit, I can still give it some points if I like playing it. How did I like the core gameplay mechanics? Did I like the story? How good were the graphics based on the release date? So I can't obviously compare the graphics of Oregon Trail to something like... let's say, what's the latest title? Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You probably know what Shadow of the Tomb Raider graphics look like. There's 50 years between those games, so obviously I can't compare those two graphics-wise, but in order to have a somewhat fair grading, I'm going to judge them based on how well the graphics would have been perceived at the time. Sound design is another factor. Replay value is a factor. Level design is a factor. Stability is a factor, that being, did the game crash? Did it have lots of bugs and glitches? Did did I encounter game-breaking soft locks, stuff like that? History is really just history. How important is the game? Did it define a whole new genre? And then of course customizability. Yeah, stuff like mod support, settings, graphic settings, as well as custom content, character customization, stuff like that. So, did I have fun playing the Oregon Trail, and if so, how much? Out of 10? So yeah, these are 10 categories. I give each of them a score from 1 to 10, and these points are then added up. So up to 10 points times 10 categories can go up to 100. Which means I'm going to give Oregon Trail a 7 in the fun department. Simply because I did enjoy playing it. There is some stuff that I can get really focused into, weighing my options as to should I buy more food, should I buy more supplies, should I buy another ox and stuff like that. Do I need to rest so my people don't die on me? Stuff like that is a bit challenging, and I like a challenge in these, in video games in general. So I did enjoy that element. I can't give it a 10 though, because it does get a bit repetitive on second playthroughs, as we just did. And there is the element of randomness that comes into play. Sort of, I mean, for one thing, it makes it unpredictable, which again helps the replay value. But like with the very first attempt of the night, where we had a broken arm on day 1 and a thief who stole half our food on day 2, let's just say that wasn't very fun. But overall, gameplay in itself, I mean, it's sort of simplistic. The only thing you really do is to make these decisions that I was talking about, and then hit the appropriate number key presented to you on screen. So it's not exactly gripping and enticing gameplay. It's hard to rate, really. I mean, back in the day, this was probably very exciting, but it's aged poorly, so I can... The thing is, what games were there at the time? The next best thing would have been Pong, which is a year younger, let's not forget, and also more action-based. Well, action-based in the sense that you have real-time action. I mean, to be fair, like I said, there is this minigame, this hunting minigame, which also kind of breaks the game, but it's kind of hard to judge, really. I'm going to give it a 6, though, because overall there were more elements that I liked than disliked, so it's overall a net positive. Story. The thing is, was there much story to begin with? You basically have this one group, this one family. I think they've intended the way to play it as one family, and they're making their way to the west of the USA, to the west coast of America. So that's about as deep as the story goes, and then the little adventures you have on the side, like a thief stealing your stuff, you get stuck in a snowstorm, you talk to people at forts and river crossings. It's nice, some nice fluff, but it's not really something engaging and not exactly a deep narrative. So I can't go high on the story, to be honest. Maybe like a 4. Right, graphics. Today it would be considered pixel art, which has made a bit of a renaissance in recent years. And we still need to consider this game is 54 years old. Is it 54? No, 53. Almost 53. So we can't judge it too harshly. Of course, as I just explained. Graphics 50 years ago was completely different to graphics today. So for the time, it was okay. But I still can't give it full points, simply because it was, even by those standards, pretty simplistic. If you look at how the ground was basically just one color to tell you whether there's grass or whether there's desert or whether there's snow. Then there was a lot of black, and then there was some pixely background graphics. So it's functional. For 50 years ago, it was even possibly groundbreaking. But it's nothing to stand out. So I think I'm going to keep this to a 5. And that's being generous because of the age. Sound design, on the other hand, I can't even be generous with that one. And I realize, based on the age, that these 8-bit sounds were probably state-of-the-art back in the day. But I found them to be rather tiresome pretty quickly. And they were loud. So, even being generous, I probably wouldn't go higher than a 3. So that gives us 25 points in total so far after half the categories. Doesn't exactly bode well so far. But then there's replay value, and replay value I think is one of the biggest strengths of this game. Because as I mentioned earlier, you have several options at the beginning, several choices to make, that being the 3 classes and your initial shopping spree. Plus you get to make a lot of choices along the way. It can make all the difference whether you decide to ford a river or pay a ferry, pay an Indian, wait for conditions to improve. Each choice has repercussions for several days to go down the line. And it tells, really. I mean, you can, in doing so, every playthrough is going to be different. So replay value is actually pretty high. I would give this an 8. Not a 10, because I think at some point, fairly soon, you're probably going to figure out the best option in each scenario, and then it's going to start getting a bit stale. Level design. That would be assuming that the game had levels as such to speak of. I mean, there's one sort of overworld with the trail map and such, and the path you travel along. And then there are several sub-levels. Again, if you want to call them as such, that being the hunting scenes. They're nothing spectacular, let's be honest. So, I mean, in terms of the pure level design, and nothing to write home about, but they're also not bad, so it's probably a solid 5. So, stability. If you've been here in the beginning, you probably will have seen me struggle a bit to get into the game without making it non-responsive. but I am fully aware that this is down to this port of the game. I've played it in the browser adaptation, and the game was just never designed to do that. I think the original, I'm pretty sure the original port did not suffer from like the original version of whatever platform this came out on. Hang on, let me check which platforms did it initially come out on. The Oregon Trail. Mainframe, Apple II, Nintendo DSi, Apple Macintosh, Commodore 64, Atari, MS-DOS, and Windows. So, okay. I suppose there were some platforms where you could have tapped in and out of it. Or at least tried. But I can't really judge whether that would have caused the same issues with the original edition, so I'm not going to deduct too many points. Yeah, it's probably just down to the port that I played. Once I was in the game, I did not suffer from any single technical issue whatsoever. So I'm going to have to go to high rating here. Let's say an 8. History. History is an interesting one because, of course, it is one of the oldest video games around. And part of the reason I played it and put it on the list in the first place is not only that it is one of the oldest games around, but also one of the most remembered. Like, everybody will have heard of the Oregon Trail for one reason or another. Some people, especially in the US, will probably have played it in school, or so I've read. And it's spawned and inspired remakes and reimaginings. So history is probably going to be another high scorer for the Oregon Trail. It has faded a bit though. Like, it was the first one, but it's not started a franchise or inspired entire genres. It's more like fun to remember, but not fun to take inspiration from. So it's more like a more like a 6 out of 10. And finally, customizability, which I mean, most of what I would want to say about this probably goes more into replay value and customizability, because the apart from making different gameplay choices at the beginning, the most customizable thing we had was actually whether we wanted to turn sound off or not, and I kind of wished I had done that. So customizability is also not going to score highly. I'm going to give it some points based off the replay value things, but other than that, it can't score highly. So what would that be? Let's give it a 4. And that leaves us with 56 points, which is just about a passing grade. Like, I would say 50% or 50 points would be okay. This game is okay. We can accept what this game is trying to do. It was fun to play it, ish. But 56 is also not something to get all that excited about, to be honest. Not something I'm keen to revisit anytime soon. It's 56. I mean, this scale goes up to 100, and 100 will be, if any game reaches 100, it'll be a game I probably want to replay immediately. So, yeah. Anything under 50 would probably be something I'm going to say, oh, yeah, that might have been a bad choice. And if it's the first game in a series, I'm probably going to say below 50 means I'm going to scrap the series altogether, because that does not look good. But yeah, Oregon Trail has no sequels. It has remake, like I said. Those might score more highly on graphics and sound design, so they might push it into 60s. Maybe 70s if customizability and is improved, and it does add more to storytelling elements. But even then, I don't see this scoring higher than 70 or low 70s at least. So yeah, I'm probably not going to put remakes or remastered editions of the Oregon Trail on my list. So 56. For now, that is the leader out of one game we've played. But we do still have more games to play. The next one being Pong. Oh, hang on, yeah, that reminds me. So, you see Pong, Zork, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. I somewhat know these games already, and by that I mean I also know that these are fairly short, or in the case of Pong, a match can take like a minute, maybe two. Same with Space Invaders and Pac-Man. Donkey Kong is a bit longer. Zork can take a while. So I'm thinking I'm going to take at least Pong, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Donkey Kong and put them in one stream. Like a retro arcadey kind of stream where we go through at least these four in a single stream, and then maybe give Zork its own stream, because Zork can probably take as much time as the Oregon Trail. But yeah, that's the plan. Pong, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. Probably even Tetris. Those will be the games for the next stream. But it's nice to see that we're actually making progress now. We're now at the first 4 games of the list. That being the Oregon Trail and the 3 board games we've had. Senet, Go, and Chess. The question really is, how long will the Oregon Trail stay on top? Well, that being too long.